Welcome everybody to Who's Your Band. I am Jeffrey Paul. I'm joined by my co-host, Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
I'm good. It's just me and you tonight. Sometimes I get scared when there's no guest, but
I don't. I
I'm
like it
scared tonight. I'm
sometimes.
not scared tonight. This is going to be a good one. I have a feeling something different, something out of our wheelhouse.
Exactly. And sometimes you need to do that. And there were things that I come across. So um the other day, we were recording this on a Monday. So last Thursday, Adam and I went to go see Elvis Costello and Daryl Hall.
I guess my invite got lost, but
Yeah,
continue.
well, we did ask you early on. You were going to get back to us. Um,
I do that.
but we talked about this on the air.
Yeah, I do that a
Okay.
lot. I
Okay.
promise. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to you. I never do.
Yeah, you never do. But let me tell you something though. You really didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Um, Elvis Costello, and this is what pisses me off. So it's supposed to be a co-headlining tour, but Daryl Hall's closing out the shows. Okay, so Elvis Costello comes out and he says, I can, since I'm not closing the show, I can pretty much do whatever, anything I want to do. He says words to that effect. Forget the fact that, and Adam could back me up on this. How bad was the sound for Elvis Costello?
Oh, it was horrendous.
You couldn't make it out what he was singing. It was just so overmodulated between the bass and maybe the drums. I mean, and it just drowned out everything
Yep.
else. I've never heard sound that bad at PNC.
You
Okay.
couldn't even hear the keys at all.
No, you couldn't hear the keys at all. You couldn't make out what melody he was singing. Not to mention, he didn't sound all that great, although I was excited to see Elvis Costello. So then he winds up playing 14 songs. And I made a list of songs that he did and then songs that he should have done. Okay. So he does a song called, and he winds up going deep into the catalog. So he does Truth Drug, which is a Nick Lowe song. He does Man Out of Time, Sneaky Feelings, uh, Come the Meantimes, Everybody's Crying Mercy, which is not even his song. It's a Moose Allison song. Okay. What he doesn't do Other Side of Summer. He doesn't do Veronica. He doesn't do Only Flame in Town. He doesn't do Accidents Will Happen. He doesn't do Oliver's Army. I mean, you fucking kidding?
I hate that shit. I mean, Dave Matthews is kind of like that too. Like when I had a friend who they met, like him and his wife met at a Dave Matthews concert, and I think they're like 200 shows in, like they're diehard people. And like if you pull up a set list, I did it the other day because they went there a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago to PNC. They do like 22 songs. Now I tend to learn the set list before the shows. You can't do that with Dave Matthews set because they do a different set list every night.
Sometimes that's pretty
It was
good.
5 songs I knew out of 23 songs. Like
Get out
they
of
go
here.
super, super deep. And sometimes, like, if you're a super huge fan of a band, I get that, but you want to hear some hits at some point.
Well, that's what Adam and I was saying. We're like, he opens up with Pump It Up, which is fine, but we had a hard time figuring out what the song because the mix was terrible. He does Watching the Detectives, which I didn't think was a great version of it. And then he winds up, in the last two songs he winds up doing are Allison and What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. And then in between, it was just, I mean, just nonsense. And we're sitting there going, I mean, when's he going to start playing these hits? And he's not doing any of them. So that kind of annoyed me. And then Daryl Hall comes on. Now he's the headliner. Sean, how many songs should a headliner do?
Depend if you're doing a co-headline show like
Go
that,
headlining tour.
I would say 15 to 16.
Okay, he does 12.
Yeah, but he plays some jammy, longer stuff too, though, right?
Well, what he did the Bleeding Gums Murphy version of all these songs. So he's okay. So he's doing he did like Every Time You Go Away, which was a song that which is good, but I mean drags it out.
Yeah.
He does Kiss on My List, drags it out. I mean Private Eyes drags it out. Um just a slow down version. And he just, I mean, he just, you know, I think the tempo. of the songs were a little slower too, because he can't sing anymore. Guy is about 78, 79 years old, and he just doesn't have the pipes or the range anymore.
It could be why they stretch it out too, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really didn't miss anything. But it got us to thinking, like, we should do a show on crooners. And I think the idea popped in our heads when you and I were on 101.5 and
Mhm.
we started talking about crooners.
Yes.
And so we was like, this is what should be the theme of the show. So that's today's show. And we're not like listing the best. We're just like listing great, great singers. Not singers in a band like I would say Bruce Dickinson, Dio, not guys like that. A guy who's a crooner. How would you describe, or for the audience, what would you say a crooner is?
I think it's a lost genre, to be honest, and I kind of yeah, it's hard to you have to have like a big band behind you. I think more of the standard kind of songs. It's definitely a throwback to like a different generation. So like you're really thinking of like, artists from I would say the 50s through the late 70s, really, if you think about that. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want to throw one out there, the most popular one without question is Sinatra.
It is Sinatra.
By far it's Sinatra. Um, and the thing I love about crooners is something that's kind of lost these days. It's style and class, if that makes sense.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and
You
I think that's not only with singing. I think it's in society as well. I mean, have you taken a plane recently?
Yeah, a few months ago, and it's yeah, people go on there with dirty Crocs and sweat.
Pajamas.
People used to get dressed up.
That's right.
They would get dressed up to go on a plane. Well, and then back in those days, you could smoke on a plane too, but that's another story in itself. But um, yeah, it's a lost art. Like they would get dressed up in suits, and the whole dynamic was different though. It was about having a cocktail on stage, and people are smoking in the audiences, but it was a simpler time too. So that's one of the things I love about it. It was a much simpler time. The songs were good. Like they were sweet. There was nothing angry about them. There was nothing like there was no maliciousness, no hatred, no anger, no venom. They're like love songs. They're more upbeat. It's definitely like a genre that I think is kind of slow, not slowly, but it's kind of dissipating a little bit and it's kind of disappearing. And you'll get some people who will like the old school Italians obviously try and keep that alive. They're a big proponent of this whole kind of musical genre, but it's a lost art, because you look at all the rappers with like they're all Lil, you know what I mean? You got
Lil, Lil,
Lil
Lil,
Wayne,
Lil,
Lil Jeezy, Lil
Lil
Nas.
Jeezy,
No, it's
Lil
like
Wayne, Lil Wayne,
little bit of
Lil
Lil Wayne.
Wayne, Lil
You
Wayne. Right.
people aren't going to
Lil John.
Lil Jon. People aren't going to remember that 40 years from now, but there might be some people who still hear about Sinatra or a Dean Martin.
Sinatra's timeless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's never going to go away, and it was a different time too. I mean, he was extremely connected. Extremely connected.
But I'm just talking about him musically. I mean, I know he was influenced by Bing Crosby, who is an ultimate crooner, I guess. But when he was young, his parents used to like own a tavern in New Jersey.
Really?
And yeah, and he used to sing for extra money. Um, yeah, and then he winds up becoming a singer. You talked about having a big band behind you. He sang with the Tommy Dorsey band. And he goes on to have some of the most iconic hits. I mean, I don't care who you are, who doesn't know My Way or That's Life or The Summer Wind or Fly Me to the Moon. There's a movie, using that title that's out right now. Strangers in the Night. Uh, Go to a Yankee game. How does a Yankee game end? New York, New York.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just talk about someone who's just so off the charts iconic. I think the other thing with Sinatra is the way he sings. I mean, he's just not saying words, he's telling a story.
Right.
And I think the song that really exemplifies that is a song like Night and Day. And Night and Day is based on a painting. and it just tells the difference between night and day, but night and day not just as a period of time of like what's going on in life. Night and day could be the same as being young and old, good and bad. There's and he tells that story, and so it was. He's the number one crooner. I think you would have a hard time arguing that.
Yeah, and think about the time frame too, though, when the Rat Pack was out. Like that's a classic time period. That old school Vegas Rat Pack
Very
era.
short amount of time too.
Yeah, very true, very true. But look what came out of it. You had him, you had Dean Martin, which I guess you can also fall into that category as well, right?
Oh well, Dean Martin I have on my list of crooners as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was a raging alcoholic, but God bless him. God
But
bless him.
but think about the reason why you had the Rat Pack and why that period of time was able to exist. It's after Elvis. Okay, the whole Elvis thing has gone. It's before the Beatles make it really big. Okay, and now what you have is you needed someone to kind of like fill the gap. And you wind up having Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., uh, uh, Joey Bishop, Peter Lawford, okay, and like they become what called the Rat Pack, hanging out in Vegas, being connected, drinking, smoking, hooking up with every woman that walks. I mean, and and being in movies, they had it all. But again, it's only people think it's like the whole 60s. It's maybe just a couple of years
That is true.
until the Beatles become big.
About 8 or 9 years, I would say.
Not even. It's not
Right?
even there.
Well, I
No,
think the heyday of it was in the early 60s.
it's in the early 60s because it's after Elvis has gone to the army. The Beatles haven't broken yet. And it's like 1960, 61, 62. And then, when the Beatles start to hit their stride, then the Rat Pack winds up, they become more like movie stars and they become more of like for your parents, and like the younger generation winds up going towards the Beatles and the Stones. And then you wind up moving into like, bands like the Kinks and like I hope, the whole 60s psychedelic sound. But, Dean Martin, in my opinion. Also, not just you know what his nickname was?
No.
He was the king of cool. He was an actor. He was a singer. Everyone thinks they go. He was from Italy. His parents were from Italy. He was from Ohio, and he was growing up a boxer. That went by the name of Kid Crochet, and he broke his nose in fighting.
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So he winds up, getting it fixed. And, he's a good looking guy. And he's very, very talented. Hooks up with Jerry Lewis, and they wind up, becoming a great comedy team, Lewis and Morton. But when he winds up recording, listen to the songs that he recorded. And you talk about standards. That's Amore. Christmas classic, Let It Snow, Mambo Italiano, Volare. I think he does the best version of Sway. Um, Ain't That a Kick in the Head? I mean, these are
I
great,
love that.
great songs.
That's a
Oh,
great.
they're great. I mean, like you could listen, a guy like you could listen to like Lamb of God, okay, and then enjoy like a Dean Martin song.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm very diverse like that. But you got to remember too, I was born and raised in an Italian household where I didn't really hear it, but like from my aunts and uncles, that would be a big thing for them. Like my mom wasn't into that kind of stuff, but going over to my, older aunts and uncles' houses, that kind of stuff was always, being played. Always.
It was good stuff. But there I think are some younger guys that do carry the torch. I don't know how young they are. I mean, I don't know if they're not in their 20s, but I think I'm going to call them contemporaries. And a guy who comes to mind is a guy like Michael Bublé.
Oh, of course.
Um, I would consider him a crooner, he's from Canada. Family from Italy, however. So I find some similarities with him and Dean Martin. Also, didn't originally want it to be a singer. He wanted to be a hockey player. Makes sense from Canada. His favorite team growing up was the Vancouver Canucks, and he just to his own admission just said he was a terrible hockey player. Just wasn't very good. But just like D Martin, he winds up having a big hit with Sway. And then he comes up with lots of Christmas songs and songs like Feeling Good. But like I think my favorite song, my wife loves Michael Bublé, by the way, is Just Haven't Met You Yet. Great video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about his wife being pregnant, I think, right?
Is that no, I don't think I think his wife's pregnant during the song, but I just haven't met you yet. I thought it was just about him, and which would make sense, what you just said. But I thought the song was about him trying to fall in love, but he just haven't met the right girl yet.
Okay.
But I like Michael Bublé. What about you? You a fan?
Yeah, he's good. Like my cousin's a huge Michael Bublé fan. Like she's seen him like 6, 7 times. But again, she comes from again same family. So, but that her side of the family was definitely more connected. Like they were all very like you know what I mean, very very crooked nose over there. So that was a lot more prevalent in their household than it was in mine. So yeah, she's a huge Bublé fan. I think she's seen him like 5 or 6 times in concert. One of those like stalkerish kind of fans of his. But
And,
I think one
and
person we didn't bring up though, is somebody very prevalent who didn't really run in a pack like the Rat Pack was Tony Bennett.
well, it's funny that you bring him up, and here's the reason why. Because Tony Bennett, he winds up duetting with Lady Gaga, right?
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Lady Gaga, right? Um, he's in his 90s when he's doing this, late 80s, 90s, and the guy can still sing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was never a big fan, but I was always amazed that he still had that voice at such a late age in his life.
It was cool. One of my favorite moments, I had a friend of mine who used to work at Carnegie Hall. And you don't like to ask your friends for tickets or stuff like that, but I saw that Tony Bennett was going to be there, and Katie Lang opened up. And she was able to get me and my mom, and this is God over 25 years ago. And I got to sit in one of those orchestra boxes on the side of the stage
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
for free and see Katie Lang with Tony Bennett. That was like kind of way before the whole Gaga and Bennett collaboration. Katie Lang had a big collaboration with him too.
What was the song?
I don't know. I think they did like a VH1 Storytellers kind of thing where they did
I did think he did something before Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, he did MTV Unplugged.
Right, right.
So that was very very different. But yeah, he's another guy, man. You always knew him. He was just always there. He always seemed like he was 85 years old, even 30 years ago.
Yeah.
He recently passed away, I guess maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, like everyone else we spoke about, Michael Bublé, Tony Bennett, always presented themselves like gentlemen.
Correct. And that's the thing I love about that whole genre is that it's timeless. It's time. You're not going to see a guy, you're not going to see a schlub walk in with a fucking pair of ripped jeans or cargo shorts wearing a friggin' Indian's hat.
Right. He's not coming out wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not pouring fucking Cristal out for his homies on the stage. You know what I mean? He's got the scotch in his hand for himself. Maybe a cigar on top of all of it. It's a throwback to a great period that will never happen. Will never happen again.
These things are cyclical. You hope that maybe one day it will be. I was thinking about some other guys who you may not like immediately. The crooner doesn't come to mind, but I think certain songs do. And I think a guy like Van Morrison
Mhm.
could be considered a crooner. Um, hits like Brown Eyed Girl. I think one of the most romantic songs, Into the Mystic, just such a beautiful song. Definitely a crooner song. Moon Dance, Have I Told You Lately? That and his version was mine and Terry's wedding song. Then little lighter hearted stuff like Bright Side of the Road. But he was a crooner from Ireland. And the thing with him was I think he evolved into a crooner, but he started out in a band, and the band was called Them. And do you remember what his hit song was before? People think it's a solo Van Morrison song. It is not.
No, I don't know.
And the song it was Gloria.
Oh, GLORA.
Yeah,
Who redid that, by the way? Or was it always him?
it was always him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay,
No,
and then
that's
and then and then Laura Branigan had a hit with a song called Gloria, but it was not the same song.
right. Totally, totally different.
Yeah. but no one else really redid that or had like a major hit with it. But he played guitar, sax, keyboard. Adam, did anybody else do Gloria? The Van Morrison song,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now.
or like have a hit with it at least? That's what we're trying to kind of figure out here.
Yeah.
Now I was thinking of some different people that you can have a fight that they have a little bit of croonerish qualities to them as well. Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton, yes, when he does like his ballads,
Mhm.
um, but Michael Bolton he was like a rocker. I mean, guys like real good players wanted him in that rock band. He had a song called Gina, which was a real hard rocker in the 80s. Um, I think he has a fantastic voice. I think he gets a lot of shit for no
Oh,
reason.
huge. I was a huge fan of his growing up. I mean, I had all his CDs. I thought he was always a really brilliant songwriter too. He wrote tons of stuff for other people. I mean, one of my favorite songs ever is I Found Someone by Cher. And
Yeah,
he wrote that and he did an amazing version of it too.
but we had a guest on. I don't know if it was Billy Sheehan or something, but someone was telling us that they had with maybe Bruce Kulick or somebody, but they were with Michael Bolton. He he doesn't get the respect for being as versatile as he is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was Billy Sheehan because I think he did the studio work for him too.
Maybe. Another guy who I think is kind of like a classic crooner is Bobby Darin.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
mean, listen, Dream Lover, Beyond the Sea, Back the Knife. Come on, man. That's the ultimate crooner song. Yeah, Adam said Patti Smith covered Gloria, but I mean her version was never even charted kind of like Van Morrison. Yeah, but Bobby Darin, this was a guy also, had just had that classic styles, classic. He was married to Sandra Dee, winds up winning a Golden Globe for his acting. Um, the thing with Bobby Darin, he was destined to die early. He dies at age 37. Because when he was young, he had suffered high fevers, which weakened his heart.
I know that.
And yeah, and he wound up having like heart surgery at very young age, and he winds up dying at the age of 37.
What about Perry Como?
Perry Como is definitely a crooner. He's boring.
Yeah,
He could be the most relaxed singer I've ever heard. I mean, he is human ambient, but he is absolutely considered a crooner. Um, but I'm kind of picking like guys who I like, who I would still listen to their songs. I think another guy, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was Tom Jones,
yeah.
um,
I had him on my
who
list too.
I mean, who's just from Wales and has that baritone. And my God, man, he sang things like Delilah and What's New Pussycat, which was a Burt Bacharach song, who's one of my favorite all-time songwriters. His version of "You Don't Have to Say I Love You" is amazing. She's a Lady, uh, Daughter of Darkness, and then he winds up covering contemporary songs from the 90s, things like Burning Down the House and Kiss by
Mhm.
Prince, and he fucking nails this.
Yeah, he really did. He kind of reinvented himself in the 90s too and kept himself. He attracted a generation of the girls whose mothers were into him in the 70s.
Yeah, he's 84, 85 now, and the guy he's on tour as we're talking
That's
and can still sing.
what about Nat King Cole?
Nat King Cole is absolutely a crooner.
Yeah.
Again, you talk about someone who comes across as very, very classy, relaxed. You could see yourself, you know, having like an after dinner drink, putting on a little Nat King Cole. Of course, the Christmas song, during Christmas is is my son's favorite. Um, yeah, I mean, he's great. But this, John, if we're gonna go black crooners, okay,
Yo, Sam,
I think I'm gonna top you.
go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna go black and gay.
Black and gay.
Yeah,
Barack Obama?
close. Luther Vandross.
I didn't know he was gay.
I'm assuming he is.
Why would you say that?
He kind of has a gay look.
That's first of all, that's a very bad assumption to make of somebody who's dead and we can't ask.
I think it was kind of speculated he was gay.
Hey Siri, was Luther Vandross gay?
I'm see if Luther Vandross is gay. I'm pretty sure he was gay.
Didn't pop up.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was such a romantic guy. He had
All
songs
right,
like,
you want to hear something great about Luther Vandross, which I had no idea.
I think
This
I know this already.
this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Do you know what his middle name is?
Sh
Ronzoni
Luther Ronzoni Vandross?
Vandross Jr. Ron, like the really shitty pasta. That made my day. We can stop the show right now. I'm completely content.
Well, I think we need to find out if he's gay.
So
I'm content.
supposedly,
Gay?
yep. It says in 2017, 12 years after his death, Vandross's friend Patti LaBelle confirmed that he was gay.
Yeah. See, it was. I remember it was always kind of speculated. You couldn't come out and say he was gay, like Jim Neighbors was gay. During, he was around in the 70s. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this, but he sang background on my favorite Bowie song, Young Americans.
Yeah, I know. He had a huge career as a backup singer before
That's
he
right.
big.
That's right. But but he when he does break out, he has, the power of love, love power, stop to love, here and now. And he has a big hit with your girl, Mariah Carey, when they did Endless Love.
He sang backup for Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway, Todd Rundgren, Judy Collins, Shaka Khan, Bette Midler, Diana Ross, Bowie, Benny King, Stevie Wonder, and Donna Summer.
That's pretty impressive.
That's ridiculous when you think about that. He could be the biggest crooner of all time if you really think about it, besides Sinatra.
Great crooner.
Yeah.
Again, a guy who came across as, always dressed meticulously, came across as a classy guy, could sing, just super talented. Yeah, he's a crooner.
What about Julio Iglesias?
Julio Iglesias is a Latin lover crooner.
Yeah, he
He
falls into
is.
that category.
To all the girls I loved before.
He's not gay because he's got a son.
No, he was far from gay. Julio Iglesias. I think he was fucking everybody.
Yeah, he was huge in the 80s, man.
Huge in the 80s. Oh,
He was a panty dropper. He was definitely a panty dropper.
yeah, you didn't know who he was. And then this guy just seemed to come out of nowhere and just like was all over the charts. He had songs in Spanish and people just like loved him. He just had that very soothing, like Ricky Ricardo, very Latin lover type of voice.
Don't ever do that again,
A
please.
very lover
What
type
about
of
Johnny
voice.
Mathis?
Johnny Mathis is a crooner.
Yeah, big time. I would have those big ass glasses that he had. But that's another thing that's gone from like this time. Big ass glasses. Like the big oversized Elvis ones. I'd rock the shit out of that.
He didn't have big ass glasses.
Yes, he did. Johnny Mathis.
Johnny Mathis did not have Elvis
I'm looking at a
glasses.
goddamn picture on Wikipedia, and he's got big ass glasses.
No, but he wasn't known for having. He had that like funny voice, like the chances are that I wear a silly grin. Right, that's a dead on Johnny Mathis, by the way.
I'm really trying not to curse you out. I want you to understand that. Really trying. I'm trying to keep this very light and friendly tonight, but you're really pushing the limits of our friendship.
I want to see how far I can get away with some of this shit.
Trust me, you ain't getting much. You ain't getting much further.
I don't know how many more people we have on all this I can do impressions of.
King
Uh,
Claus.
Nuances, I think, is a crooner.
Who?
And also a great songwriter was Paul Anka.
Okay, I could see that.
Times of Your Life, Diana, You Are My Destiny, and he wrote the theme of the Tonight Show.
I did not know that.
He did, and he wrote, of course, She's a Lady for the aforementioned Tom Jones. And of course, the story about how he wrote My Way, right, for Sinatra.
Absolutely, I know that.
That's right. For those of you who don't remember, Sinatra was retiring from the business. And he tells us, and to people he knew, and he was very friendly with Paul Anka, and they're performing in Florida. And that's when he told them. They're performing together in Florida. He says, after your show, come and meet me at this restaurant. He's there with Mia Farrow in the back. He says, look, I'm going to be retiring from music. He goes, can you do me a favor? Can you write me a song? I want to just go out on, just on a high note. I want to put out an album.
I'll tell you one person that I was very lucky to see, and this is kind of goes back.
The story wasn't over.
Oh, continue. I'm sorry. I usually cut you anyway, so you start stuttering and mumbling and
right. So anyway,
yes,
he goes back about a month or so later. Okay, he gives Sinatra a song. Sinatra calls him a few weeks later and says, "Listen to this," and it becomes My Way. And he asks Anka, "How much do you want for it?" And Paul Anka says, "Nothing. This is my gift to you."
dumb.
That's what he did because Paul Anka is that type of guy.
I just read a story too the other day about Kerry King from Slayer, how when they were recording, I think it was Rain and Blood, when Beastie Boys were in the studio next to them doing License to Ill, and Rick Rubin was producing both of them, and Rick said, I need some guitar tracks for 2 songs, and Kerry King just came in and he goes, yeah, I'll lay them down, no big deal, and they paid
Oh,
him.
I know.
He paid a flat rate. He was like, well, look, we had made no money at the time. I was like, a couple $100 can take care of like the rent and stuff like that. Had he taken a quarter point off of Fight for Your Right to Party, he would have been a multi-millionaire just from that songwriting credit alone.
Did he play the lead in Fight for Your Right to Party or No Sleep Till Brooklyn?
Both.
And both. Okay. Because sound like him, right?
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much did Eddie Van Halen make off of the Beat It video? That's right. How long did it take him to do it?
I think he did it in one take, didn't he?
One take.
Crazy, isn't it?
One take.
I think he's going to wind up going down as the greatest guitar player who ever lived when you really think about it.
He's up there. Him, Page, Hendrix.
Right there. Like now, getting back to my story since I interrupted you. I have a thing now that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see artists perform that I've never seen before that I know are getting up in their years, and you want to try and catch them before it's too late. So I guess it was about over 20 years ago, I went to see Willie Nelson's 70th birthday party at the Beacon Theater, which they just did the
70th?
70th, yeah.
He was a young man at the time.
A young man. It was a huge event. I mean, the ZZ Top, Chris Christopherson, Sheryl Crow, Bill Clinton was there. I mean, just tons and tons of people. But the person that I got to see, which a lot of people can't say they saw live, was Ray Charles.
I never saw him.
So that was a really cool moment for me to see Ray Charles.
What did he do? You're Always on My Mind?
Georgia on My Mind.
Oh, Georgia on My Mind.
Yeah, did Georgia on My Mind did another song.
Did Willie Nelson write that song? Like, why would he do that song?
Because it was a hit for both of them.
Oh, they both did. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hey Siri, who wrote Georgia on My Mind?
See, this is modern technology, folks.
They did not write that in 2014, you fucking dumbass.
Yeah, this.
I hate fucking Siri. Siri's
she's a cunt.
She really. Oh, I was gonna be polite, but
I'm not being polite. I'm not pulling punches.
I think Ray Charles actually wrote it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, speaking of gay, another guy who actually.
No, I'm wrong. It was Hoagie Carmichael and Stuart Gorell wrote it in 1930.
Really?
1930. It was the first recorded year. Hoagie Carmichael.
That's
like an old guy from the friggin' Chicago White Sox, the Black Sox, doesn't it?
Yeah, but now I knew Hoagie Carmichael because the Flintstones had a character based on him called Stony Carmichael.
I never heard.
And he was a jingle writer.
I never heard of that.
You never watched the Flintstones?
Back, a little bit when I was a kid, but I was
forget it. Forget about it. I used to watch it all the time. But yeah, going back to gay, Barry Manilow could be considered a crooner.
That was a question I was going to ask you because I know you're a fan of Low.
I am. I just saw him in April.
And you like to do some of the things that Barry Manilow does in his extracurricular at the time.
Right, which go out to dinner, dance with girls.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking more after the show. kind of rhymes with the last part of his name with low, add a B to it, you know. But
I love getting BJ's.
I've heard you're very good, Jeff.
No, I like getting them.
Oh.
Okay, he's so fucking dumb. You
I like getting them. Really, Jeff? Do you?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Do you
because
really like waking up in the morning too?
because I wasn't going to give in to your nonsense. Yeah, sure. I go around, I'm blowing guys backstage. I'm like, hey, let me into the Barry Manilow. I'll suck your dick.
Well, I don't think you would ever really do that. I mean, I think you would turn a blind eye and give a tug, but I don't think you would ever go full blow.
Let me ask you something. Who's your favorite artist?
Of all time? I don't have a favorite, but
Drop dead now. Like who do you love?
who do I love? Springsteen?
Okay, Springsteen. Um, you're gonna get to go. You're going out to dinner with Springsteen.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna drive around with them. Okay. But what you got to do is you got to touch it. Are you touching it?
Just touch it?
Just touch it. Maybe give it a little pat.
Yeah.
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 Nothing gay about that, by the way.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything gay with it at all.
Adam.
Yep.
Okay.
If shaky leg comes into
it's wet leg.
Wet leg.
Okay. Yeah. Wet leg. Okay. Now there are 14 people ahead of you online for wet leg. Okay. Now, but you got to get those wet leg tickets. Okay. Would you kind of just kind of like nug on it just a little bit? Elvis Costello?
No.
No, really?
No.
But you get
very scary because he's going to jerk Jeff off for a free ticket to Elvis Costello last week.
But really, you wouldn't touch Elvis Costello, but you're going to see wet leg.
Yeah, I don't get that in the least. But who's yours,
I don't
Jeff?
know.
Ozzy.
Yeah, maybe Ozzy.
Yeah, I think
I would love Ozzy, Bruce Dickinson. I mean, these are guys I mean, I've met a lot of people, but these are guys I've never come close to meeting.
Yeah, I would probably fangirl a little bit if I met Springsteen. I'm not gonna lie. I only did it once. I only fangirled once.
See, Springsteen I met several times. So a little bit different. I mean, I think there are different people like in history. I would love to like be able to spend time and talk with like a guy who was president. Let me ask you guys this, both of you. If you if you could spend 24 hours being invisible, where would you go? Where would you go? What would you do?
Where would I go?
And if either one of you two fucking pervs go, I'll go to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders locker room. Adam's like, fuck, that was my number one choice.
I was going Mariah's bathroom. Continue, all right.
and tug your little schwangy.
Schwangy.
Little schwangy.
That's a tough question, though, man. There's so many things.
24 hours you to be invisible. Where you going? Where you going? What are you doing? I'll rob a bank.
No, I wouldn't rob a bank because you're invisible, but the money that you steal
exactly.
You're gonna see fucking floating cash walking away. They're gonna catch you at some point.
No, but your thing is you'd be able to get into places. Nobody would know.
I don't know, man. That's a hard question. That is a hard question. I don't know. I don't know.
What would you do, Adam? Give Sean a minute to think about it.
Yeah, okay. I got to think about it also.
Because what I would do, I would probably like drive down to Washington and try to see what goes on behind the doors, behind the scenes in like the White House or in the Capitol, what they're really saying, what they're really thinking.
That's an interesting thing. Like if you want to go into like the what's the room that you call it? Situation.
Yeah, I would say like the Oval Office.
Yeah, situation. I would see that. That's something like, yeah, it would have to be something that you don't have any access to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and you wouldn't be detected.
Yeah, like for you, it would be like a sold out comedy club. Like you can actually sometimes the jokes are just for me, Jeff.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good question though. Yeah, I would say the situation room is a good answer to that.
Adam, you still thinking about it?
Yep. Still thinking about it.
I had to fucking pop a blood vessel there. Jesus Christ, dude.
I'd want to see what Frank Black does behind the scenes. Who's
Who's
who's that? Is it that Frank Black or Frank Turner? Who's this guy who you're obsessed with, Adam?
Oh, Frank Turner.
Yeah,
Frank Black and the Pixies, right?
that's
Yeah,
right.
Frank Black's the
But
Pixies.
you love this Frank Turner.
I was expecting something dumb like, "Well, I would go into Baskin Robbins because there's 37 flavors. I want to see if they got to wipe down the machines when they make a different flavor. Is it all vanilla based? How do they do it? Do they have 37 machines all at the same time? That's things that I think.
Oh, I don't think Adam would do that, but it would be something like weird like that. He'd be like, maybe what I would do is I would go see if I could see where Burt Convy grew up, and because he was my favorite talk show host.
He died the brain cancer.
He did. He was a big star. Remember Burt Convy?
Well, that's the whole the 80s and the late 70s and 80s had that whole genre of people that were famous, and you had no idea what the fuck they were famous for.
Gene Rayburn.
Like Charles Nelson Riley.
Character. Okay, how about JP? It was JP Morgan. Remember her?
No, that's a fucking bank, you dumbass.
No, but there was also an actress named JP Morgan. Look up The Odd Couple.
Okay.
She was a singer.
JP Morgan.
In fact, she's in the episode in The Odd Couple when Felix wrote "Happy and Peppy" and "Bursting with Love."
And she's an actress.
Yes, but she also
AYE. Oh, I know who she is.
yeah, remember? And then the one who was actually married, I think, to Jack Klugman. I think she was married to him in real life. Brett Summers.
JP Morgan's still alive, by the way. 92.
No, she's not.
92 years old.
Are you kidding?
Yep. 92, December 3rd, 1931. Still alive.
Wow, that I did not know.
Yep. See, once in a while, man.
Yeah. Do you remember Brett Summers?
I do. She had the big monster glasses on Hollywood Squares.
It was Hollywood. No, that's Hollywood Squares. It was the one with there was 6 people on it. Gene Rayburn, I think, was the host. It wasn't What's My Line. What was it called? No, it wasn't named that tune. Adam, what's that? Look up what Brett Summers was on. She was a perpetual guest on this show. Match Game. That's it. Match Game. Yeah, that was a great show.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to watch on reruns because
But then but there were a lot of these guys and actors. I guess they were actors, actresses. In like Joanne Worley. Like besides Laughing, what else do you remember her in?
I don't. Again, I don't. These are people that I never really saw, except on fucking game shows that were on reruns for 15 years when I was watching them as a kid.
I mean, I don't remember how Nick Cannon became famous, or do you remember who Ray J? Remember Ray J?
Oh yeah,
that was a sex tape. Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, but supposedly he was a rapper. Do you remember his hits?
No, he was also Brandy's brother. Remember
that's his whole big thing. That's like the fucking F-lift celebrity.
Yeah, but now he's got a whole what do you call it? An earbud line that are very, very popular. I forgot the name of it though. But he has his own headphones and stuff, kind of like a Dr. Dre kind of thing with Beats. That's where he made all his money from.
Yeah, but we were just trying to think about these guys who wind up becoming famous, and how did they get so famous? Like, you can't name what they've done. Well, they only had like 1 or 2 hits.
They weren't in The Irishman.
No, I'm a step away. I need one more vehicle. I need one more thing.
He is doing a new movie, by the way. Martin Scorsese. I know, you probably have him on your speed dial, but I don't know if you heard this or not. He's doing a movie for Apple TV about the Grateful Dead, and he just signed the actor to play Jerry Garcia. Any idea who he would pick? Adam, don't say a word, because I know you already know this.
I know.
The guy from Shameless, who's in The Bear.
No, but that's a good pick, but kind of in the same age. Kind of in the same age. When you hear it, it's going to make complete sense.
Jack Black.
Close.
Yep, pretty close.
Seth Rogen?
Almost there. Jonah
Yep.
Jonah Hill. Okay, there we go.
Hill, who I think
Like
is
we
great.
almost did 6 degrees of Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, we just did Stump the Chump.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that.
That's a
Great
great.
actor.
Yeah, I have a love-hate thing with him. Some things I like with him, some things I don't. I mean, Wolf of Wall Street to me is
Phenomenal.
one of the greatest movies of our generation by far. He was great in Superbad, but then there's a lot of like little nichey shit that I'm not a fan of, like that whole buddy comedy kind of shit with Seth Rogen and Will Ferrell and Ben Stiller, all that garbage shit. I'm not a fan of that stuff, but I could definitely see him
Oh, you
playing
mean the funny stuff?
the successful stuff.
Like
Yeah.
he was actually funny in. Did you ever see Funny People with Adam Sandler?
That was a great movie. I love that.
It's a great 3/4 of a movie.
True.
Okay,
It's kind of like Goodfellas.
hmm?
Kind of like Goodfellas.
No,
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is great from beginning to end.
No, once the cocaine comes in, it's done.
Wrong.
No,
No.
you'll never go to argue.
It's my favorite movie.
It's my favorite movie too. But the first 80% of it is phenomenal. When you get the whole helicopters and shit, now that's where it goes downhill. Full Metal Jacket. The first half of Full Metal Jacket.
Great half of a movie.
Greatest fucking halves of a movie ever. After that, it's horrible.
Stripes, another great half of a movie.
Oh yeah, Stripes was good with the Jello wrestling scene. Yeah, the pudding wrestling.
It was Jello wrestling. I think you're right.
Yeah, well, that was a hot. Come on, that was hot when you were a kid,
It-
6, 7 years old, and you put it on HBO, and
Yes.
you see that shit.
That your VHS and you're stopping the tape.
Do you remember and you probably remember this. I remember having HBO as a kid and like thinking it was like really, really big. Do you remember they used to do burlesque on HBO?
I did, but I was never into I didn't think burlesque was sexy.
Yeah, but again, you were a little bit older than me, so you were probably seeing the real thing at that point. I mean, I'm 5, 6 years old. I'm seeing half a tit. I was fucking feeling things I never felt before, you know?
Growing up, our big sexy show was Love American Style.
Mm.
And then on Channel 9, you had Benny Hill. And Benny Hill had some
Oh my
sexy
God,
stuff.
Benny Hill was amazing. I love Benny Hill. In fact, when my boss calls me from work, I have the Benny Hill theme song plays.
That's great music, isn't it?
Yep, I love it.
And that still kind of holds up if you ever go back and watch some of those things. They're still pretty funny.
Great. Oh my God, they're so much fun to watch.
Good stuff. Anyway, man, that is our episode on crooners. Somehow it evolved into like old stuff. Well, but that's the age of what crooners was
Right.
like the 60s and 70s. By the 80s, things had kind of changed. Like you said, you started to have cable TV. MTV started to come out. Cable TV became more prevalent. In the 60s and 70s, it was a lot of it was like what you read. I guess what you read in the tabloids. I mean, I was still very, very young in the 60s. I don't even remember it. But it was still like the lore of all these guys, of the Sinatras and Dean Martins, and just Sammy Davis Jr. was another one of those guys who ran with them, and Elvis Presley. It was
The Lost Generation.
Yeah, it's like if I could go back into a time period, I probably would go like somewhere either in the late 50s or early 60s. And if it was 60s, I would definitely go to Vegas.
Oh yeah, I would even do that. I would do like the 60s Vegas era with the Rat Pack, or I go 1987 Sunset Strip. I kick Izzy Stradlin out of Guns N' Roses. I am the new rhythm guitar player in Guns N' Roses, and I don't live past 1989.
That would be a great time period to go to go to the Sunset Strip. In that time period, instead of I think there were a couple. Nothing was bigger than the Sunset Strip for that, but you did have the New York, New Jersey, Long Island, like circuit, the band circuit,
But it was
it was still a great time period. Like you would go to a place like the Fountain Casino in Aberdeen, New Jersey, and you would see a band like Twisted Sister on a Friday or a Saturday night, and there'd be over 2,000 people there. And it was just insane. You had bands like White Tiger, Twisted Sister, Zebra, all these great bands, Phantoms Opera, which Bon Jovi kind of like came out of, and then later on, Skid Row used to play the circuit.
Look, there's a great documentary. I think it's on Amazon Prime called Sunset Strip. It gives you the whole history of the strip from like the 60s going up through the whole 80s hair metal thing. It is, I've seen it.
I just finished the book, Ain't Nothing But a Good Time.
Okay.
And it chronicles that time period, but it also goes back and forth between, a lot of it takes place on the Sunset Strip, but also what was happening here in New York, because you can't dismiss, what a band like Twisted Sister did. Twisted Sister would sell out the Palladium, and they didn't have a record label.
I think the thing about with them was the over the top makeup that people just didn't take them seriously. But they were a solid band.
They worked hard. I mean, why did people take Motley Crue seriously? Because, the difference was one band was from California, the other band was from New York. And in
Right.
California, they were signing bands. Like, they're signing everyone like crazy. They were
Everybody
signing
like that.
Motley Crue. They were signing Warrant. They were signing Pretty Boy Floyd. They were signing like all these bands,
Yeah,
and
that
they
was
were all the same.
they were all
Master Pussycat.
good band. They changed their style though, and if you didn't know, the last couple of years they went to more of like a industrial kind of sound to kind of stay relevant.
They do try to stay relevant. A lot of those bands just like fell apart. But the thing is, the players in the bands were great.
Sure.
Like, when you look at a band like Dokken, I mean, think about Dokken had not only Don Dokken, but it had George Lynch and Jeff Filson, who's now like a permanent member of Foreigner.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Um, no, these they were great. A band still around today. Tesla was.
Test not a metal band. And we've had this
They're
kind
not they're not a metal band, but they were thrown into that category.
yeah. So was Cinderella, and so were, there's a lot of bands like that that got thrown into that genre just because of the hair and because they had to do look at Welcome to the Jungle. Look at Axl's hair and Welcome to the Jungle. Did you ever
Right.
see him do that again? No.
No.
Because for that
Only
one
video that right. Very
video, it was
misleading.
not them. They were lumped into the hair metal thing too, and they were clearly not a hair metal band in the least bit.
No, they changed metal, and that's why I think they were able to stick around while bands like Poison and Rat and all those those other bands just kind of like died off real quickly. Slaughter, Trickster.
Slaughter is actually playing on tour this year, and they are playing. I'm doing a show in Long Island at the end of September in Patchogue, Long Island. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then I see an ad pop up on Facebook that Slaughter's playing in Patchogue. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's a coincidence, right? I'm like, oh, it's the same night as my show. I'm like, wow, let me see where this place is. It's fucking next door to the place that I'm doing my show at. So
Where
as
you
soon
do? Where are they playing?
they're playing here at Starland, but the night before they're playing a place in Patchogue. So as soon
What
as
is
my
it called?
I don't fucking know, Jeff.
Because there's a place called, oh man, it's like this little place in Long Island that has really good acts. And it's not that far from, I think, what's that club? Not Governors, but it starts with a B.
Starts with a B.
Yeah, it's also owned by Governors.
The brokerage?
Yes,
Belmore, yeah.
yeah, it's not that far from the brokerage.
No, it's not that far from there at all. But I forgot the name of the place. I got to look it up. But yeah. So my plan is I'm going to do my set and walk next door and pay the $20 to see Slaughter. I'm sure they'll be on right around the time that I'm done because I'm headlining the show as I usually do, Jeff. And so when I'm done, I'll just go next door and catch out a little Slaughter.
Lord is okay.
Not bad. They're not bad.
Who did they used to back up who?
That I don't know.
They came out of somebody. I know Winger came out of Alice Cooper.
Yes.
Right. But Slaughter, I think. Oh, I knew who they came from. Slaughter came from Vinnie Vincent.
You think so? Oh
That's
yeah,
what. No,
Mark
that's what.
Slaughter
That's what.
played with them. Yes, Mark
Yes.
Slaughter sang for them.
That's
Yes.
that's where they're from.
You're on fire tonight.
I'm good.
Once in a while, you're a fountain of useless information.
I you know if I had a nickel for all this useless facts, you know what I would have? A nickel.
On that note, Jeff,
On that note, on that fucking shit note, that
God, let that
just awful, 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 this awfulness, just
yeah,
awfulness.
horrible. That was pretty horrible.
Anyway, yeah, I gotta get going. No, I gotta go pack. I'm in Delaware tomorrow.
On a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's a great gig. I'm at the Starboard. I'm there with one of our, I think it was a past guest. Didn't we have Kevin Downey on the show before?
We did have Kevin Downey on a
Yeah,
while.
I'm there with Kevin Downey. It's the Starboard is in Rehoboth Beach,
Mhm.
and on Tuesday night, it's the only thing to do in town is the comedy. So the room always sells out. So it's about 200 seats inside that get packed. And it's like seating, and then there's a standing room by the bar. And then outside, there's monitors, and people hang out and watch the show on the monitors. And they treat you great. I mean, it has Saturday night energy. You get paid like a Saturday night gig. And it's just I do it once a year, and it's such a good show.
You can go see your favorite president while you're down at Rehoboth Beach too.
Or a famous former president. Is
Yeah,
he
well,
still? Yes, he's still alive even.
as of right now, yeah, but I'm predicting now people are listening to this. It'll be on Monday that we're recording this. My prediction, and I don't talk politics, but he will be out of office by Thursday. He's going to
Yeah.
resign.
Well, I was going to make my hack joke here. Is like, according to this, when Adam releases it, it'll be after election day.
I was going to say after Kamala's presidency.
Yeah. Listen, I think we're very close to a President Harris presidency.
No, man, stranger things have happened.
I could see, this is what I could see happening. I could see him stepping down and her becoming president even before the election.
And then Michelle
And
Obama.
and that way everyone kind of gets like what they want. Like
Yep.
she gets to become president, the first female president, and then I could see Trump winning in
Oh, I can
November.
see. No, I can see Michelle Obama stepping into the convention.
She don't want that shit.
Telling you, yeah, have George Soros throw $500 million her way.
She don't need it.
You watch.
Did you ever watch that clip of a Buttigieg introducing Joe Biden? Biden comes like come shuffle up. He's like, thank you, Secretary Booty Juice.
Oh God.
He calls him Booty Juice.
Well, I'm sure in his life he had to have a booty juice.
He's had some booty juice.
He had some booty juice.
Thank you, Secretary Anal Leakage.
Oh man. Anyway, I think that was a good episode. We pulled it out.
We did. All right, guys. We will catch you next time on Who's Your Band. Please, despite these jokes, follow us and subscribe and all that good stuff. We really do appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Sean. Bye, Adam.
Later, guys.